World Food Day, a path to zero hunger. Millions of people around the world don't have enough food. World Food Day, a day celebrated every year on October 16th, aims to solve this problem. This day was born from a powerful idea, a world of zero hunger. The idea is led by the Food and Agricultural Organization, FAO, of the United Nations. It's an international movement uniting over 150 countries since 1979. Their shared goal is to create a world where everyone can have sufficient and healthy food. In recent years, World Food Day's focus has grown to include food security. Food security means people can always count on having enough healthy food to eat, no matter what happens. To achieve this goal, several activities are carried out. These activities include supporting fishing communities, addressing the effects of climate change on food production, and encouraging biodiversity. People often forget that having access to food is a privilege that not everyone has. Hopefully, World Food Day can bring about change so that everyone has that opportunity to eat healthy meals in the near future.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to English for You. I'm Mike.
I'm Nikki.
And today we are going to be talking about World Food Day, a path to zero hunger. It does seem sometimes amazing. With so much wealth and money in the world, there are still lots of people around the world who don't have access to food or enough food or a good, healthy food. So this is a big problem that we need to work together on to try to save the food that we have, allow people in other places without food to get access to food. Along with food, water, of course, is an issue. That will be a subject for another day, another discussion. But today, World Food Day, an actual organized day by the United Nations to try to make sure people are aware that food problems are serious issues in parts of the world that maybe we don't go to, maybe we don't hear about, but we definitely need to focus on. So let's look at our article all about World Food Day, a path to zero hunger, making sure no one in the world is hungry. The article begins by saying millions of people around the world don't have enough food. Absolutely. Maybe in your city even, maybe where you live, they don't have enough food, but the problem gets much worse in some of the poorer countries, especially in parts of Africa, Asia, Central America, South America, places like that. So World Food Day, we can know that this is an actual organized special event by the capital letters there. World Food Day, a day celebrated every year on October 16th, aims to solve this problem. They've kind of dedicated or set aside this day, October 16th, so everyone can remember, think about, focus on, and try to do something to fix this food problem. We are aiming or we are trying to solve this problem.
那今天课文要来介绍每年在10月16号举办的世界粮食日。The sentence contains our language and focus for today. Let's take a look. 首先我们看到了文法这里出现了一个同位语，同位语和形容词子句一样有分限定和非限定，为的是要补充前面的先行词。那要注意的是，如果同位语出现在句中，前后我们要用2个逗号隔开，就像课文里的 A day celebrated every year on October 16th， 也就是说每年在10月16号举办的这件事情是用来补充说明前面的 World Food Day。那 for example, Eva Lee, my best friend, is coming to visit Taipei next weekend. 那在这里 Eva 和 best friend 指的是同一个人。
Okay, back to the article. This day, October 16th, World Food Day. This day was born from a powerful idea, a powerful, important idea, a world of zero hunger. When we talk about zero hunger, of course, zero meaning none. We're talking about a day or a time in the future when there will be no people who are hungry. Everyone will have all the food that they need to be healthy and safe. The idea is led by the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, of the United Nations. As you know, the United Nations is a big group of many countries, hundreds of countries working together, and they have these smaller groupings that focus on problems around the world. Back in COVID, we knew about the WHO, the World Health Organization. They're focused on medicine and health and, keeping people safe from disease. The Food and Agriculture Organization are focused on farming and getting enough food to people, especially in poorer parts of the world. And yeah, when we talk about agriculture, it's basically farming. We're looking at farming as a science, as a business. If you're a farmer, you're engaged in agriculture. If you're growing things, if you own a ranch that has cows or chickens or something, that's another form of agriculture. And I guess even if you're growing vegetables in your backyard, it's a form of agriculture, but generally this is more on a really big scale, big businesses or countries farming things and selling them all around the world, and it's a lot of money involved. So it says a lot of Taiwan's agriculture is located in the central and southern parts of the island, and a lot of the agriculture in Taiwan is focused on things like rice, bananas, pineapples, guava, things like that.
那这个节日是由联合国粮食及农业组织所发起的。Agriculture 这个名词指的是农业 farming. Agriculture is related to natural resources. So for example, farming, forest, or livestock.
Okay, back to the article. It says it's an international movement uniting over 150 countries since 1979. Yeah, anything to do with the United Nations has to be international because the United Nations is made up of many nations. So it's many nations working together, the international community. In other words, a community of countries working together to unite. They're uniting over 150 countries take part in this. To unite is kind of like to join or to bring together. If you unite with your friends, you're meeting with your friends, you're all separated, living in different parts of the world, you get together, you are uniting, you are joining or coming together. When two companies, you might have a big company that buys a smaller company, they want to unite those two companies to make a new, bigger company or something like that. Here's another example, students united to protest the school's new rules. So those students all joined together in a big group of people to protest against something they were not happy with.
那这是一个国际性的活动，全世界有超过150个国家都会参加。Unite 这个动词指的是使团结或是使联合。When you unite something or someone, you combine things. You make people join together as a group. 那若是结合起来的团队 ，unite 的名词就会变成 union， 意思可以是联盟、结合或是工会。
Okay, then it says their shared goal, these countries working together with the FAO, their shared goal is to create a world where everyone can have sufficient and healthy food. Yeah, that would be a good goal and a good thing for the world if everyone in the world, all 8 or so billion people on the planet, have sufficient and healthy food. You want healthy food, right? It's not good enough for everyone just to be eating French fries and chocolate bars all the time because that won't make you healthy. So we want fruits and vegetables, fresh fruit, vegetables would be great if everyone could get that and get enough for what they need. In other words, sufficient. If you have enough for what you need, if you have enough for your purposes or what you need to do, you have sufficient. You might not have extra, you might not have more than enough, but you certainly don't have not enough. If you have sufficient, you have enough, maybe not extra, but certainly enough to do the job. Their example here, it says, do we have sufficient time to get to the movie theater? And we can often use the word enough in the same way. So I could say, do we have enough time to get to the movie? Do we have sufficient time to get to the movie?
那他们的共同目标就是希望这世界上所有人都可以有足够且健康的食物。Sufficient 这个形容词指的是足够的或是充足的，也就是 enough。那相反的，如果是 opposite, we call that insufficient, not enough. So for example, his salary is insufficient for him to be having kids.
Now you can imagine that getting enough sufficient or healthy food to everyone in the world can be a real challenge, right? People live in all sorts of different places, and not all of those places allow people to grow food or enough food whenever they need it. So it's a matter of taking food from where we have too much and moving it to places where people don't have enough. And this is always a challenge, especially in a world that's growing with more and more people all the time. It says, in recent years, World Food Day's focus has grown to include food security. All right, so not just getting enough food to the people who are hungry now, but making sure that people will have enough food in the future. With global climate change, right, changing weather patterns, it's getting hotter in a lot of parts of the world, so food that they used to grow in the past, they might not grow now because it's too hot or they don't get enough rain. So food security is going to be a real challenge going into the future. It says food security means people can always count on or trust or rely on having enough healthy food to eat no matter what happens. So even if the world changes, even if the weather changes, even if it's really cold one year and the food doesn't grow as much as we need, we always need to have food security and make sure that everyone has sufficient food. And in recent years, this has been a challenge. Recent is talking about a time that wasn't too long ago up until now. So kind of like the near history of the time that we live in now. So if I'm talking about, 2010, 2015, 2020, that's kind of recent history. If I'm talking about 1920 or 1620, that's not very recent, okay? It changes a little bit depending on the time you're talking about, but recent just means in the near past, not so long ago. For example, did you hear the recent news about the pop star and her boyfriend? Not a story from 20 years ago, but a story from maybe 10 months ago or something, or 10 days ago.
Recent 是形容词，指的是最近的或者是最新的。If something is recent, it's new. It's just happened. So for example, if something just happened this month or in the past few weeks, we call that recent. 那另外我们看到一个片语 count on something, 预期或者是依赖依靠。We say to our friends, you can count on me. 你可以抱在我身上. You can trust me.
All right, back to the article. To achieve this goal, several activities are carried out. So to achieve the goal of food security and making sure people have sufficient and healthy food, several activities are carried out. They do several things. These activities include supporting fishing communities, addressing the effects of climate change on food production, and encouraging biodiversity. All right, those are all good things, it sounds like to me. So supporting fishing communities, places where people can get their food from the oceans. That's a good way to get it because it puts less stress on the land and we don't have to worry about things like rain and temperature. Addressing the effects of climate change on food production. Certain places where people in the past could have grown enough sufficient food for their lives, maybe they can't now because of the effects of climate change. And also encouraging biodiversity. Don't just farm and grow the same things. Try to find other things that might be easier to grow or produce more food that people might not eat now, but maybe in the future they can. So that's a really good idea. It makes the food system much stronger. And if we face problems with growing one type of food, well, at least we have another type of food to take its place. A lot of this does change because of the effects of climate change. The effect of something is the result of something happening. So if something happens, what changes, what happens afterwards, those are the effects, okay? So if you stay up really late to study before your exam, you might think that's good, but the effect might be that in the exam the next day, you're super tired. So even the things you remembered that you know well, you forget them now because you're so tired. It's the effect of staying up too late the night before the exam. Here's another example. I think the bad weather will have an effect on our plans for next weekend. It will cause a change or have some influence on our plans for the future.
那为了要达成这个每个人都有健康足够的粮食可以吃的这个目标，有以下几件事情需要被执行。那首先 effect 这个名词指的是影响 have an impact, influence on something or somebody. 那它的动词会是 affect. If you affect someone, you have an effect on them. So for example, studying in Europe has a great effect on my way of thinking. 那其中之一呢，还包含了支持渔业渔民 fishing community。那 community 是名词，指的是社区或是群体。Could be people who live in the same area or people who share the same interest。那另外在这上面的句子，我们还看到了 biodiversity 这个名词，指的是生物的多样性。Bio, this prefix means things that are connected to lives and living things. 那 diversity 呢，则是多样性或者是差异。那合在一起就会是 biodiversity, 生物多样性。
Yes, and this is definitely something we need to think about and kind of appreciate and feel lucky about. As it says, people, especially people like us living in, richer countries where getting food is not really a big problem, people often forget that having access to food is a privilege that not everyone has, okay? So we were lucky enough to be born in Taiwan or other places where, finding food isn't hard. The food that we can find is healthy. It's fairly cheap. We don't have to, farm or grow it ourselves, and we would rarely have a day when we're going to bed hungry because we can't get food. So this is kind of a privilege. It's kind of a lucky thing that we were just sort of born with. Having access or being able to get food is a privilege, is not something that everyone has the same ability to do, and some people are luckier than other people. Getting access is just being able to get something. If you have a key, it will give you access to a locked place, and it will allow you to do things or allow you to enter places.
Access 这个名词指的是接近或是使用机会，那所以这边我们看到的 access to something 指的是使用的机会或者是权利。Having access to food 就是获得食物的权利。那另外还看到了另一个名词 privilege 指的是特权。Privilege is an advantage. It's something that you have only because you're in a particular group.
And sometimes you were just lucky to be part of that group.
Exactly.
Hopefully, the article says World Food Day can bring about change so that everyone has the opportunity to eat healthy meals in the near future. Because if there's something everybody in the world should be able to get, it's clean, healthy food, clean, healthy water, an education, health care, hospitals and doctors when you're sick. These seem to be just basic rights that everyone should have, no matter who you are or where you were born or how rich you are. An opportunity is a chance to do something, and the idea is also maybe a chance to do something that you won't have forever, right? So if you don't take this opportunity, if you don't do this thing now when you can, in the future, that opportunity might go away. You might not be able to do it. So grab that opportunity, do that thing now, because it might not be around forever. For example, you can't pass up this opportunity to study in Italy for a year.
那也就是说，我们其实常常忘记这个世界上还有很多人在挨饿。其实每餐都能吃饱的这件事情是一个特权，所以才会有世界粮食日来提醒我们这件事情的重要性。Bring about something， 促成、引起，在这里课文的意思是希望世界粮食日能够促成改变。那这边有一个名词 opportunity 指的是机会或者是可能性 a possibility, a chance. So for example, you get better job opportunities in bigger cities, and that's why we move to Taipei or to London or Paris. 那另外看到一个片语 in the near future 指的是在不久的将来 It's not far away. 那喜欢今天的主题吗？不要忘记要按赞、订阅、分享我们的 YouTube 频道还有 Facebook 哦。
All right, so let's look at our For You chat question before we say goodbye. What steps would you take to end world hunger? And explain your answer.
It's a really big question.
It's a huge question, exactly, and we're not exactly experts.
I'd say we volunteer at some places and try our best.
That's a good idea.
Food.
I know that you're going to be going to France soon. I think in France they have rules that supermarkets and restaurants can't throw away extra food at the end of the day. They have to give it to a charity or a food bank or a church or somewhere.
I don't know about supermarkets, but I know they're boulangerie, like where they sell the
bakeries and
bakeries.
Stuff. Yeah,
they do that.
That's a good idea because there is a lot of food waste in rich countries. I mean, we can't really pack up all that food and send it to starving people in another part of the world, but at least the people in our cities, people who are homeless or don't have enough money, at least they could get access to food, and that would be one small but good step. All right, you guys might have your own great ideas about how to end world hunger. You can have a chat about that, and we'll have more about this very important topic tomorrow, so please come back and join us for that. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Vocabulary Review.
Agriculture. Agriculture plays an important role in this region. In fact, more than 75% of people work on farms. Unite. The students from different classes unite to clean up the school playground every Friday afternoon. Sufficient. After 5 years of hard work, Jim has saved a sufficient amount of money to buy a new house. Recent. We really enjoyed our recent vacation to Thailand. We'll go back again next year. Effect. The cold medicine may have the side effect of making you feel sleepy. It's better to avoid driving after you take it. Opportunity. When Alice saw that her school had a new art class, she took the opportunity to join it.
智慧小补帖
Community. Biodiversity. Biodiversity. Access. Privilege.